This program is brought to you by the Kentucky Small Business Development Center in Louisville. We provide the professional expertise, tools, and information necessary to help you make sound business decisions. Thank you to the U.S. Small Business Administration for co-sponsoring our program and to our host organization, the University of Kentucky. Contact us at 502-625-0123 to get started.
Hi, welcome everybody. Glad to see everybody on Tuesday. Hey, Janet.
Hi. Did you have a good weekend, Dave?
I sure did. Had a great weekend. Glad, kind of glad it's over, but here we are.
Let's get back to it.
Yeah. Well, as always, welcome to another Toolkit Tuesday. We've got a lot of stuff to do today. And we, just to make sure that you can hear us and see us, if you would, look at the bottom of the screen there and you'll see a toolbar. And if you don't see a toolbar, just take your cursor and hover down there. It should pop up and you'll see the chat feature. And if you just click on that and just type in there, just tell us your name, where you're joining us from, and that you can hear and see us very well. So Janet just tested us out. Just joining up there. I'm going to try it out myself. There we go. There's Nathan. Good to see you. Jose. Everybody's joining in. Ariana. Good to see you. Dave Sauerbach. Great to see you, Dave. Ben in Washington State. Wow. Thanks for joining us, Ben. And Patrick from Charleston, South Carolina. I'll be there later this month in Charleston. Great city, love that. Anthony Screen, how are you? Good to see you again, Anthony. Hey, Gina, how are you? If you have a dog, you need to know Gina. So yeah, she's got a great concept there on Baxter Avenue, PG&J Dog Bar. Check her out if you're in Louisville. Awesome. And also Dave Sauerbach's got a cool business also in LaGrange. He owns the Sauerbach Family Drive-In, which I recently saw some movies at, so it's awesome. We're glad everybody's joining us today. So I'm taking a big risk today. I'll be honest with you guys. So if it totally goes south, please, I'm apologizing in advance. But something that's really near and dear to my heart is finance. I mean, I love finance and working with numbers, but over the years, I've found that it's pretty hard to basically, unless you're somebody that deals with numbers all day long, it's basically hard to tell a story in numbers. And sometimes it's better just to do it visually. And so I thought I would just take a chance here, talk a little bit about what I like to do with the things I'm involved with, and that is coming up with dashboards to visualize the business and use that information to make decisions with. So hope everybody can see that well. So let's just jump right in here. Again, I'm Dave Atkin. I'm the director here at the Louisville Small Business Development Center. We're part of 13 SBDC centers across the state of Kentucky. And as you heard earlier, we're a national program. And it is a great program. You guys are obviously aware of us, so glad you're here. Always happy to hear from everybody. So we have any questions or comments as we go through the presentation today, just put it in the chat and we'll get to it as soon as we can or whenever. So what are we going to do today? And so I want to talk a little bit about the benefits of a dashboard. I always like to start sort of with the why. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then I'll show you some easy dashboard apps. We're not going to dive too much into that because, you know, this is kind of the way to go to plug in some apps. And then lastly, and here's where I'm taking the big risk, and this is what I like to do, is build dashboards in Excel. And so I'm just going to build a quick dashboard for you and you can follow along. And then when you get this recording, just kind of follow along and build your own, you know, take it as slow or as fast as you want. So here's where the risk, because I haven't done this before on a Zoom webinar, and it's anything when you're adding technology on top of technology, things can go south fast. So bear with me. So here's kind of the why of dashboarding is, if you have any kind of business and you probably, if you are a decent owner, decent manager, you get some sort of financial reports and you look at them, but it takes a lot to analyze and slice and dice things. And the main thing is is this old adage about you manage what you measure. And so trying to figure out best ways to gather data and put it together, and visualize this to make decisions is really important. And there's a lot of science behind this idea of dashboarding and measuring and doing it on a regular basis. And it's really interesting. There was a story told in the study that I was looking at about it's kind of a sad story, guy's name was Nick, and he was going through life, just kind of trying things out, and really couldn't get his feet on what he wanted to do career-wise, and ended up, starting to drink a lot and just flounder around. After a while, he met a girl, and they fell in love, got married, and Nick really wanted to do well with his new wife and his new family, and he tried really hard, but he still couldn't really get his feet under him, and he jumped from job to job, didn't quit drinking, and finally his new wife had had enough, and she left him, and he was just totally dejected. And as it turns out, he was on the bus one day coming home from his latest job and saw an advertisement for a study at the local university on financial health. And of course, his finances were in pretty much disarray, and he decided to join this study to see if he could at least improve one thing in his life. And so he joined this study, and they had different tools, and they were, Nick was supposed to track his finances, his expenditures during the day and report back. And he did that. And he actually worked really hard at it and did exactly what they say. And his finances did improve. And but actually what happened was, in addition to his financial improvement, other things improved almost by magic. So he ended up quitting drinking and reduced his smoking to a real tolerable level. He actually lost weight because he started taking care of his health. So if you think about this, what the writers of the study noticed, it was almost that old adage about the butterfly effect. Like the wings of a butterfly fluttering in the wind can actually maybe produce a tornado on the other side of the world. This total cascade of different cause and events. And there was a study, the guy's name is Charles Duhigg. He wrote a book actually called The Power of Habit. And he points to this, and he says this power of habit is actually what he calls a keystone habit. Like a keystone habit is one habit that has positive effects that cascade throughout your life or your organization or whatever. And research has really validated this fact. And what they found out was that when you develop a habit and you develop self-control in one area, it's almost like a muscle, and you build up the strength of this muscle. And because of that strength, you have better impulse control, better self-regulation. You can make decisions easier. And this works also in businesses. And once you put these dashboards together, make this the keystone habit, and start to measure certain things, then it's amazing how these things can kind of cascade through your business. So that's a lot of why. It's probably more than you wanted to know, but it's stuff that I find important and helps me to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. So there's a lot of benefits to having a dashboard. Number one is you can see all your key performance indicators at once, and you can build them on any key indicators, based on what your goals are at the time. Actually saves time because you don't have to do a lot of financial analysis with the numbers that you get from your bookkeeper or your CPA. You can monitor your sales numbers sometimes in real time, or often in real time, by the day, by the hour, whatever. And being able to monitor these things on such a granular level in real time, it really, if your business model is a working model, it generally will increase your profitability every time. Another good side effect of this is it keeps your team motivated and accountable. And it just depending on, the, what you're sharing with your team, it's really important. Way back in the day when I was in the restaurant business, I would do this. I would put these little dashboards together, and I would just, tape different indicators up on the walk-in back in the kitchen without saying anything. And generally, by and large, the staff would kind of key in on the trends on these different indicators that I was putting up, and they would almost always improve. And as it turns out, there was a lot of, wagering and competition between the different shifts on who can improve the numbers most. So just a lot of this reporting, kind of cascades into different parts of it. And then you can reduce your time in creating reports if you have stakeholders or a bank that you need to, or a funder you need to show reports to, that this kind of helps with that reporting process. And most importantly, it really helps your decision making, and it reduces what we call decision fatigue. If you have a bunch of decisions in front of you and you're not really sure where to go, looking at different dashboard metrics over time trending kind of helps you focus on what's really important and what really you need to work on and look at any given time. So when you put together a dashboard, there's a lot of critical elements that to put in there to think about. Number one, you need to have your data progress through time. So just static numbers don't help. We as humans, we make decisions and take in data that makes sense to us by comparing. So when we were out running in, hunter-gatherers, we looked at different things. Is there something different in the bush that I need to be aware of? We would compare the way it was, the way it is now. And it's the same thing when we trend out data over time. We can see whether it's getting good or bad. But just a static number it's just a quantity. It doesn't tell us the quality of that number unless we can see the trend over time. We need to pick KPIs that align with our goals, and our goals can change, monthly or quarterly. We can realign our dashboards depending on our goals, but it's a good idea to pick things that make sense from a goal standpoint. What if you don't really know what your goals are? Well, I mean, you can just pick the obvious things. The most important thing is to start, but you can just pick obvious ones, net profit or gross profit or cost of goods sold percentage or whatever. It's just important to start tracking things over trend, and that's really what that really makes a difference. The two biggest key things that you can add into the different dashboards is this real-time data analytics, and it's so easy to use plugins now that you can plug in different data sources. So you can link your Shopify website with your QuickBooks and mix and match that data onto your dashboard. So it's really easy to do. And on your dashboard, you want to have interactive elements so that's not static, even though it changes real time based on refreshing, with the information that's coming in. You want to have things that you can slice and dice your information right there on the dashboard so that you can see how things change or make it more granular over time. Some mistakes to avoid, if you can, is not knowing what your goals are before you build the dashboard. Again, this is kind of a mistake, but if you're at a point where you don't know where to start, the most important thing is to start. So don't worry about having clear-cut goals, but if you can figure out what direction you want to take your company in, you have an idea, and if you can measure those goals going forward, what the tracking is, and put them on your dashboard, that's super important and super helpful. Another mistake, and I've been guilty of this, is tracking too much information. it's just not helpful. It's clutter. It also, but unfortunately, it adds to that decision paralysis because there's too much data to analyze at any one time. So, pick out 3, 4, 5 top KPIs and monitor those. Use dashboarding software. I mean, it's so easy to use, and there's a lot available. A lot of it's free. I'll show you 3 or 4 here that you can look at and take away on your own. And then again, I am guilty of this. I love to dink around with things and make them look cool. So focus on style and appearance over substance. Just because it looks great doesn't really particularly mean it's a good dashboard for you. So keep that in mind. So when we're looking at dashboard apps and plugins, you want something that's pretty robust, that has a big library of templates, so you don't have to build things from scratch every time, that you don't have to have knowledge of programmers and different things. You can just plug and play. You also want to have the option for data control and role-based management. What that means is that when you share your dashboard, you can decide based on who you're sending it to what they get to see. So your senior team may see a higher level and be able to see all the information, while if you send it to other direct reports, maybe they just see things that are pertinent to them, but not the other things that might be more confidential. So make sure you can sort that all out depending on who you're sending things to. You want to make sure that it's easy to integrate with the tools and platforms that you already use. Does it integrate easily with QuickBooks or Xero or whatever? And then also make sure that you can see everything on your mobile devices. So make sure it's just not static on the cloud or whatever. Make sure that it also works on your phone. And sometimes a couple of apps that I played with, yes, it'll work on my phone, but it doesn't format right. So I can't really see the data correctly. It doesn't line up correctly. So make sure that you can use your phone for that. And then even though you use templates, make sure you can customize those templates to a pretty robust degree, so that you can make things come out just the way you want it, and basically make it your own for your own business. So let's look at a couple. Most of your accounting software has some sort of dashboard, dashboard templates built in that you can pull some data. QuickBooks and I have a love-hate relationship, and I can't. I have a hard time with this, and just being honest. So you can pull accounting, information, put it on a dashboard format, and share it out if you like with QuickBooks. QuickBooks also integrates with a bunch of different apps. And I haven't done this. I've tried and had limited success, but what I have trouble with is integrating other sources of data into the QuickBooks dashboard. So it's almost all in one. Maybe there's smarter people out there that can make that happen. I haven't had any luck doing this. I can just get accounting metrics out of the database onto QuickBooks. So I would start there. I would check with your accounting software. So QuickBooks has this. If you're using FreshBooks or Xero, they all have some sort of dashboard feature where you can pull some of that data and put that out. Here's a cool one that I just came across, and it's pretty robust, and it's a startup, and I like to to help startups as much as possible and work with them when I can. So right now it's a free app that you can download in beta. It's called DataPad. That's datapad.io. But you can integrate just about anything. It's really, really easy. It looks great on my phone. So I mean, that's a real plus. And it was pretty seamless and easy to integrate with the different platforms that I'm using for different things. So I'm not going to go into each one and play around with it, because that's that's probably not a good use of our time today. But but check that out, datapad.io. This is another one. This is another one that's a pretty young company, but they're also really robust. I like their templates. They look really well, good. They work well. It was pretty easy to integrate when I was messing around with it. This one, you get a free trial, and it's not super expensive. It does cost a little bit. That's databox.com. So I would look into that. Here's 3 more that I would check out as Zoho Analytics. I mean, Zoho is a great platform. I use some of their payment solutions on different things, but they are the big dog here, and Zoho Analytics integrates with a lot of different things. Their templates are really nice, pretty slick. However, Zoho is pretty robust, so it can be a little bit wonky to understand and make work. So it's not as intuitive as like Databox, which is really built for startups and people just getting started. So, but if you're a bigger company and you need some extra oomph there, then Zoho is pretty good. And Clipfolio and Dash This are both pretty well known. They're also decent, easy to do. Dash This is pretty slick. I would check that one out. But so what I really want to talk about today is, I'm going to do what I just told you not to do, is build your own dashboard, because I think that in some instances it's maybe better just to do this. Part of the building process is part of the learning process in a way. So we're going to pop into Excel, and let's just build a quick dashboard. And when you build one, it helps understand how things kind of work, and it will help you when you integrate other things. If you're going to use some of these plugins, these other apps, it'll help with that. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a second, and then I'm going to hopefully reshare this again, if we can do that. Okay, so here's an Excel file, and I just set this up, just put this little header in here for Dave's Decent Donuts. Maybe you've heard of this. They're decent. They're not great, but they're decent, right? Decent donuts. And let me see, I'm gonna put Gizmo on here. So that's not what we're gonna do. All right, so I just kind of set this up. This is where I'm going to build my dashboard. And then in this tab down here where it says data, I've just imported information from our database. And the beauty of this is you can import anything. So I can just pull my QuickBooks file, my transaction file, or whatever. You can have as many columns as you want. It just plug it in there. Don't try to sort it out or anything. This is raw data, and it just shows the state where we sell in the product, the donut, the units, the revenue, the cost, the profits. These are in the date of the transaction. So these are all things that just random stuff. So what I want to do to build my dashboard, I want to use what's called the pivot table function. And so what I need to do is to turn this this data here, when it's exported like this, it's called in tab format, tab delimited format. What I need to do is turn this into a table. So what I'll do is I will come up here to insert, and I'm going to click on this table to show the Excel that I want to use this data, and I'm just going to hit click table. Excel looks and it finds all the data in the table, and it shows it right here in this log box. Excel wants to know if my table has headers, and so I clicked yes because it does. They're right up there. And then I'm going to click OK. And so now I've turned this data into a table, and it's in this nice table format now. So now I want to work with this data, and what I needed to create is a pivot table to put on my dashboard. So I'm going to click in the file again into the table, go up to insert, and here on the left it says pivot table. I'm going to click on pivot table. And so we're going to call it table 1. We're going to build a new worksheet. So I'm going to click OK. And so you can see down here, worksheet 3, it has built a pivot table for this. And so a pivot table is just a way to tell Excel to sort the data. And so what it does, it searches for the different categories. And so you can see that we have over here on the right, we have state, product, units sold, revenue. So I want to create my first pivot table, and I want to use, we're going to look at the states where things are sold. So I'm going to grab on the state. I'm going to bring it down to my, down to rows. So I've got that in rows, and look, see how my rows just popped up there. I don't have to do anything. I want to have columns of my products across the top. So I see products here. I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to pull it down the columns, and Excel just put the columns all there for me. And now I want to use profit, see what the profit is for each one of those. I'm going to grab my profit. I'm going to pull it down here to values. And so you can see that it has pulled all this information out of that table. It took me 2 seconds to do this, and easy as pie. So before I do anything else, I want to fix this up a little bit. I want to put all my numbers into dollars. I'll go to home and click dollars. And I don't need all these zeros here, so I'm going to reduce my decimals to that. And so you can see that it looks cleaned up. I got a table. It took me 2 seconds. Now, a couple other things I want to do just to make it easy to understand. I want to sort some of this stuff. So I want to know which state is the highest. I want to sort from high to low on grand totals. So I'm just going to click in the data. I'm going to do a right click here, and then I can see sort. So I'm going to sort from largest to smallest. So we can see that Indiana is actually our biggest market, followed by Illinois, and then Kentucky is third. So we sorted from highest to lowest. I can also at the same time sort across here. So which one is, I can sort by the highest and lowest. I just click in my table there. I'm going to right click, sort. And I want to go lowest on the left, most on the right. So I'm going to click on that. And as you can see, I did that. So now, what do we do now? So I want to build my dashboard. So here's the data that it's going to pull from. So again, I'm going to click in the, turn it. I want to click in my data here. And then I'm going to go up to pivot table analyze. And over here at the right, I'm going to build a chart to put on my database. So I have a bunch of different data, different sorts. So here's the different chart functions. We have a column here. So I'm going to pick the stacked column so I can keep all my stuff in there. And I'm going to click OK. And so there it is. So now I have a chart to build in my dashboard, and it's going to pull from that data. So I want to clean this up a bit. So these little buttons here, I can get rid of that by right clicking and hide all buttons on chart. That looks good. I can click design up here. I can add chart element. I know I'm going fast, but get chart title above the chart. So I can go profit, state, product. There we go. So it looks pretty good. So I can just click on that. I can do Control C, pop over here, and just plug that in. And now I'm building my first part of my dashboard right there. So I can add a couple of other pivot tables if I like. So let's go back over to our data. And we will now just insert another pivot table. Same thing happened. Better get another sheet here. I'm just only going to do one more. So let's do state. So I'm going to do that on rows. And then so there's another pivot table here. So let's do another pivot chart real quick. Actually, I think I'm going to add. Yeah, we'll just do that. Let's do pivot chart. We'll do a pie chart here. There we go. So I'm just going to get rid of this again. And again, I'm just going to quickly put that over here. There we go. So now I can add, a number of these. Some other things that you can do that are really cool with Excel. I know this is not Excel class, but this is where you really can build things up. So if I just click on this pivot chart and go back up to pivot analyze, I can do other two things. I can add what's called slicers, that I can make this more of a dynamic dashboard. So I can insert a timeline here and by date. And so I can resize this. I can put that right there. So I can do the timeline, so I could sort the data by using the different months, or I can multiple months or whatever. So that's one slicer I can use. If I go back to this chart again, report analysis, I can also insert another, what's called a slicer. And it also has these different categories that I can use. So I can add a slicer for a state, and let's just say products. So I'm going to use two slicers. So it gives me two that I can slice and dice my data with for my dashboard. Make that a little smaller. Oops. So as you can see, I actually hit Illinois. So this is only showing Illinois. I can just show Kentucky. If I want to show all of them again, I can just hit shift and bring this down. Now they're all back. And do the timeline. I can just click there, and then it only shows for that particular month what the sales are when these different things. So that is kind of a quick rundown how I can build a dashboard in a couple minutes. Now, when you're thinking about it, you think, well, I don't want to have to mess with all this data every day. I could, download some more data from QuickBooks and then copy and paste it into this chart. But there is also different plugins for this as well. They are called open database connectivity apps. The one I use mainly is called cdata.com. And this is like a middleman that talks to like QuickBooks or any other apps and will bring the data in real time based on, and build this table. And then you would just need to refresh every now and then to get your dashboard back up again. So, so that's very quickly how I can build a dashboard on any kind of data going forward. So I know that's kind of a bunch in just a second. I hope I didn't lose anybody, but that being said, hopefully you found that somewhat helpful. And if you want to work through some of that stuff with me or anybody else on the team there's a QR code that you can jump in our Calendly and be happy to talk through with that with you too. So Janet, do we have any Q&A or anything there?
No, I haven't seen anything come up yet.
Okay. There's probably a lot of boring information that nobody's really interested in today. So, all right. Well, if we don't have anything else, then I guess we'll call it a day today, Janet.
Maybe it's the long weekend. It's the first day back from. There's one's come up. Whoop.
Okay, Nathan, yeah, you want to Oracle ABIX, yeah, Oracle links with, gosh, almost anything. So if you use an app, you want to link to your dashboard app, you know, often those apps already have one of those ODBC apps built into it, so they'll just quickly integrate. You don't have to use anything else. So I would just try a few of them out and use the free trials, see which one works best for you based on your information. And I mean, again, if you have other applications other than Oracle that you're using, you know, maybe again, like just an example is like a Shopify or Salesforce or anything like that, you can also pull multiple different applications information and pull it all together for your dashboard. Let's see, Abby. Hey, Abby, how are you? It's been a bit. If you don't have a traditional business with products, what are the best things to keep track of regularly? Well, if you're just going to get started, I mean, the main thing I would want to track is, you know, basic financial things like how much cash do we have, you know, sales trends over time. You know, if you're a smaller business, I like to track things in weekly increments so I can see things, how they're moving up or down, how they're trending. So I would start with a few of those things like that. And then if you want to get a little friskier, you can slice it different ways, use trying to figure out what average sale per customer or just things like that, things that you can affect. And it's, you know, it's fun to try different things out to see what sticks, what's helpful. And what I mean helpful is like, you know, can you affect this in a positive way? And if you do affect that number in a positive way, will it help your business, help your bottom line? So the main thing is start tracking things that, you know, are financial in nature first. That's the easiest. You'll have other ideas after that. Let's see, Nathan, can these apps be displayed in our Apex system or only viewed on the app? I don't know the answer to that. I mean, it just depends on the app itself. So I would just check with their, I think Zoho might be your best bet. They're like the most robust one. So they're a good bunch to work with too. So I would look into them first. Hey, Alan, how are you? Alan says, I'm running P&Ls monthly for Shopify and Amazon e-com. Yes, those in a dashboard, would there be preferred direction? I don't know what you're asking there. But again, I would, I don't know. I would just think some things that you can, that would make sense to track, that would positively affect those things. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little unclear your question there. But I think that you can, Alan, you can actually add those different, Amazon and Shopify. You can add, pull different metrics from them and aggregate both onto your dashboard so you can kind of see it all at once as the other playing out. So, Lisa, well, thank you, Lisa. Lisa says this was a great class. I really appreciate that. I was a little nervous about throwing all this out there to you guys, so I appreciate that. Let's see, is there anything in the Q&A? Nope. So, all right, well, I think that's everything. So thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. And hopefully you guys will come back for another Toolkit Tuesday. And I hope, see, I think, Janet, we have a survey at the end. So let me know how I did today. I certainly want to know that.
We're actually going to push that out with the recording, so we'll have it then. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. So please help me out with that survey and let me know what else you guys would like us to talk about, because we will certainly do so if you'd like us to find some information for you or bring some guests on, can do that. So Janet, thanks for hanging in with me today.
Sure thing, Dave.
Okay. All right. Oh, Anthony popped in here. Anthony says, I own a concierge transportation company. Will this dashboard be good for my business? Absolutely, Anthony. Tracking information and trending over time is probably the best thing you can do with your business. So I would look into that. All right. And so we got a Q&A here. Here we go. Hey, Mary. Thanks for that. Mary says thanks. Right. Okay. Well, thanks, everybody. And thanks for joining us on a Tuesday. Janet, thank you. And we'll see everybody next time.